Hello, everyone. Welcome to another After Sunset Sunday. I'm Tammy. I'm the Siberian Wind. If you're new to my channel, I'm glad you're here. Hit that subscribe button and you'll be able to chat within about 5 minutes. So it's Sunday. It is Sunday. I'm glad to be here. I see Helen is already in the chat. Thank you so much, Helen. Yes, I am going to be live tonight. So tonight I was originally supposed to have Sean from The Guy Who Sews joining me. He was feeling a little bit under the weather today, so we are postponing him joining me for the sheep block for the Fab Farm project. We're postponing that until next week. So I see Charlotte and Chloe and Linda and Joyce. Welcome in, you guys. Welcome in. I'm glad you're here. So because we're postponing Sean being on the live, and I was having to postpone the binding tutorial because the things that happened Tuesday and then doing that farm tonight. I just went ahead and we're just gonna do binding tonight. So surprise, surprise, surprise. Welcome to Sunday night. I have not really gotten to do kind of what I really want to do in the last couple of months or so. So we're going to start getting back into that starting in September. But, as of right now, we're going to do binding. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes, let a few more people get in here real quick. I am going to be getting up and going to my cutting table, which is off camera for the moment. But what that means is when I do that, I won't be able to see the chat while I am over there because my chat is here in front of me. It is not over there where I can see it. So there'll be a little bit where I can't see the chat. But as soon as I get back over, I will come check out, see what everybody said. Charlotte says she feels like she's on Romper Room. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh my gosh, guys. Welcome in. I am so glad you guys are here. I am so glad that I am here. It is a beautiful but hot Sunday here. It's 88 degrees still. Of course, sunset will be in about another 30 minutes. So it'll start dropping after sunset. But, how are you guys doing? Please tell me how you're doing. Hey, Shelby, welcome in. Welcome in. Glad you're here. So I got a few quilts prepped. You'll mostly listen today. That is okay. I've gotten a few quilts prepped for the binding tutorial that I wanted to do. And so I've got everything in different stages of binding. So I'm going to show you guys just what I've got going on here in just a minute. Now, when I do transition to my cutting table camera, Chloe says she is well and she's going to sew. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I really need some time just to sew. I have not had a lot of time to just sit in front of Ricky or any of my other machines to sew like that. So I have not had a chance. Bear with me just a second. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let me add one thing. Bear with me just a second. I'm having to coordinate this upcoming week. So yeah, we're working on that. Charlotte says she's better, managed to cut and sew 2 pillowcases. Oh, fantastic. That's good news. That is very good news. I am glad to see some familiar faces back in my chat tonight. So that is awesome. Linda says she played with her Jazz and Cutie today. She bought some pre-wound bobbins, which didn't work well. Now she has to get a bobbin winder. Yeah. Sometimes pre-wound bobbins do work and sometimes they don't. So yeah, it's all kinds of fun, right? I have not had any machines that like pre-wound bobbins. So I am actually coordinating for going back to the sewing lab for this upcoming week. Chloe is wanting to know, Charlotte, are you healing well? That's a very good question. I want to know as well. So while you guys chat, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over to my other camera and I'm going to show you where I'm at with things. And I want to go over the two main things that I do with binding. So that's going to be the first start. And I have quilts in every stage of the binding process. So you're going to get to see really and truly almost one quilt from start to finish, but you're going to see it in different pieces and parts. Oh, that's fantastic. Shelley got a bobbin winder for her jazz too as well. Welcome in, Jennifer. Glad you're here. Glad you are here. All right, let me make sure I've got the right camera set up. There we go. All right, so all you're about to see is just my cutting table, and I am about to go over there. I hope I'm not going to make anybody sick if I have to move the camera. So we're gonna cross fingers, and we're gonna hope that this works as planned. So let's see. There we go. All right. Let's see again if I can do this without moving the camera. Okay, looks like I was successful. Okay, so this fabric right here, and I see, welcome in, Mary. Welcome in. So I normally can't see the chat, so bear with me. If you have a question, I will answer it when I get back around. So I do two different types of binding. I do straight binding, which is just cut, straight of grain. So you can cut that however you want to cut your binding, but that's straight of grain. This is prepped for bias binding. So what I did is when I pulled out my measurements, it said I needed 3/8 of a yard, which is 13.5 inches, something like that. And what I did is I took that 3/8 of a yard, it's a little bit over, and I cut it on a 45-degree angle. So this is one 3/8 of a yard piece, but I cut a 45-degree angle. So there's that end, and here is the other end of that piece. So what I do is I go ahead and I cut the selvages off. This is where the selvages were. I cut those off, and I press my seams open. Let's see if I can get it in front. There we go. I press my seams open so that it doesn't create a lot of bulk. And now I've got this long strip, okay? If you cut your strips this way, like down this way, then you are still cutting straight of grain, which is not what I want to do for this quilt. I want to cut them on the bias or on a 45-degree angle. So what I'm going to do, and this is just something that I do, if you're not comfortable folding your bias cut fabric over, then don't worry about it, don't do it. But I fold it over, so that's my 45-degree angle right here along this edge. I just fold it over, and then I will take my ruler, and if you do have a stripology ruler, you absolutely can cut your strips this way with the stripology, but I didn't want to pull it back out for right now. So I'm going to cut a couple of strips, and then I'm going to take it back over to the machine, and I'll show you what I do. So for the most part, when I cut my bias, or when I cut binding, this is how I cut my binding. I don't worry about the whole continuous piece. I don't worry about drawing the lines and then using scissors to cut. I don't worry about any of that. And so as I get further down into the fabric, I am going to have to like readjust my fold and where my fold is. But because it's on that 45-degree angle, it's pretty easy to get it to line back up. And when you fold it up like that, always make sure that your fold area where you've got your fabric folded at is on your ruler as well. So my fabric isn't straight on the mat, but I'm making sure that my ruler is straight on the fold of the fabric. Okay, so that's going to be 3 strips. I am going to need this whole piece, but I'm not going to bore you and go through it all at once. So give me just a second, and we are going to get back over. Oh, welcome in, everybody. Oh, wow. The chat has been going crazy. All right, give me a second. Let me figure out which window I'm at. There we go. All right. So I see. Oh my gosh, the chat really blew up, guys. It really blew up. All right, so Helen, if I didn't say hi to you, I think I did, but if I didn't, hi again. Kathy has faith, welcome in. Joan, welcome. And Jess, welcome in, Jess. Cynthia, welcome in, guys. Thank you so much. And then Cynthia's asking, what are we making tonight? We are binding some quilts. That is exactly what we're doing. We are binding some quilts. All right, so let me grab my different camera angle and let me take off that camera because we don't need it anymore. And let me make this a little bit bigger before I make you guys sick, because moving things around, I could potentially make you guys sick tonight, and I'm not intending to do that. So there we go. And let me reposition this so that it's all nice and pretty for you. And welcome in, Shelly. She just left Tiffany's. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. All right, I'm going to take my watch off so it's not in the way and distracting you guys. I cannot turn the light off on this machine, so you're just going to have to bear with it, okay? There's only so much I can do tonight. I am still trying to just recover. Hey, Susie, welcome in. Glad you're here. All right. So when you take straight binding, you're just going to be sewing a straight seam. Okay? You're not going to have this angled edge. You know what? Let me grab that strip of that regular binding real quick, and let me show you why I do bias, among other reasons, okay? So I do have, this is cut on the straight. You can kind of see through it. It's a little bit thinner fabric, but it's perfectly fine once you combine it. So a regular strip of fabric cut straight of grain, when you go to pull it, let me get it so you guys can see the whole frame. When you go to pull it, it doesn't budge. Doesn't budge at all. So if you were just doing binding, you have an echo that wasn't there before. Oh no. Is anybody else hearing an echo? Please let me know if there's an echo. I know when I was over at the cutting table that might have been. Yes. So Sean is not feeling fantastic. Okay, so you hear it too. I am wondering why we are hearing an echo, guys. That's crazy. All right, let's see what we can do. I don't know. Everybody's hearing an echo. Oh my gosh. Let's see if I can. Okay, let's see if that. Nope, everybody's still hearing an echo. Okay. Why in the world are we not hearing? Why in the world are we hearing an echo tonight? And I don't know. Please let me know if something changes and it's not echoing anymore. No echo when I was at the cutting table. Okay. So let's see if that helps any. Please let me know if the echo has changed any or gone away at all. I don't know what's causing an echo. Let me make sure. Oh, you know what? I found it. Okay. I found it. So please tell me that the echo is gone, completely gone. Let me know. I know what happened. I do know what happened. Now that I found it. All right. So this is that bias strip. Nope. Still. Oh my gosh. So the echo is still there, huh? I've turned off everything that could be. Oh, it's gone. Okay. Yay. Okay. Yay. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Yay. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you. No, it wasn't you, Charlotte. There was I see why So one of my cameras picked up, it must be a glass too many wine. I totally wish. No, it was one of my cameras I had to re-add. Actually, I had to re-add 2 of them today because I had technical difficulties. And I forget that my software sometimes adds the audio when I re-add the camera. So it was doing camera audio as well as microphone audio. So yeah, that's what happens. All right, so we did this one where it does not have any stretch. This is cut straight of grain. I mean, you can see there's a little bit of stretch. It is kind of thin. This pink is definitely thin. You won't know it once it's in the finished project. Yay! Joyce, fantastic. You have another Super Chat raffle ticket. Guys, you only have 8 days to get Super Chat raffle tickets in. So if you want a Super Chat raffle ticket, you have until the 28th. I'll try to be live on the 28th, but you only have until the 28th to get your raffles in. So putting a Super Chat in the chat gets you a raffle ticket for July 29th. All right, so this is my bias cut strip that we just cut, and it is thin, guys. This is some I found it kind of fabric. It's not, it's not high-end fabric, okay? However, every fabric is going to work this way. This is cut on the bias, and as I go to pull it, look at how much it just gives. Like, it gives so much. And that's because it's cut on the bias. Anytime that you're going to be going around a curve, which we're going to be doing later tonight, anytime you're going to be going around a curve or you're going to have a scallop or anything like that, a bias cut is going to give you a stronger, it's going to make it easier to do. Let's put it that way. Yay, Charlotte is now getting in on the raffle tickets. Woohoo! Yay, thank you, Charlotte. So you now have a raffle ticket as well. So anytime you're going to be going around a curve, go with bias. You always want to go with bias if you're going to go around a curve. Another reason to do bias versus straight of grain. So when you do straight of grain, what happens when you fold it? If you think about it, when you fold this fabric in half and you now have this one section that's going to wear its threads faster. This one long thread that goes all the way down the length of your not bias, but the length of your binding. Hey, Raina, welcome in. You're going to have a one long thread that's going to go down the length of your binding, and that's going to wear out really, really fast. However, if you are doing bias, if you can see the grains of this fabric, I hope you can. That's kind of why I chose some not so fantastic fabric. Yay, Kathy, you have one as well. Fantastic. Thanks for the raffle ticket entry. Yay. All right, so if you guys can see through the light here, you're seeing that the threads are going crossways through here, both directions, okay? And so when you fold that on or you fold it in half, and then of course you're folding it in half because that's what's going to be out on your edge there, you're going to have a whole bunch of crossways threads. It's going to wear a lot better and it's going to wear out a lot slower than the straight cut, okay? So both kinds of binding have their place. Sometimes straight binding is really all you can do. Sometimes straight binding is absolutely appropriate, but there's a lot of times that bias binding is the better option. So a lot of my quilts are typically bias bound, okay? So when you are doing straight binding, and I did not make this roll, so do not come at me for it. I did not do this. You are going to have, and this one's not pressed very well, but you're going to have straight seams, okay? There's no need for you to do a crosswise seam in straight binding. You can, but it's just wasting a little bit of fabric. Helen says, great explanation. Absolutely. I'm glad I can help because a lot of people have questions about binding and why you would want to use one over the other and why why do it this way? Why do it that way? Oh, thank you, Kathy S. Faith. She says, please remember to thumbs up and subscribe. Yes, absolutely. Everybody who is chatting right now is a subscriber. Yay. Susie, you now have a raffle ticket entry for July 29th. Fantastic, guys. That is awesome. That is awesome. All right. I'm looking forward to July 29th. I am so looking forward to that. All right. So now this is my bias binding. So let me get this keyboard out of the way a little bit. And so I've got 3 strips. That's all I cut earlier, and that's okay. I'm going to go back and cut more later because I'm going to need it. And I know which side is right side up for me. It may be hard to tell on camera. This is a very, I don't know where this fabric came from, but it's been great, but you know, I'm kind of glad to be able to finish using this. Okay. So you're going to have this angle cut, okay? So you're going to put right sides together, and you're going to take one strip and put it on top of the other, right sides together, and you're going to line up that angled edge, okay? Now, if you go all the way down and you line it up so you have nothing overlapping at the ends, you see how I have nothing overlapping? Then you are going to be 1/4 inch off, and you're not going to have a straight strip once you sew that seam. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it up by 1/4 inch. So my little tail down here and my little tail up here should be hanging over by 1/4 inch. Okay. Hi, Katie Crafts. Welcome in. Aw. Thanks for the reminder to thumbs up, Kathy. I often forget. Yeah, I do too, guys. I really do. I have to remind myself every time I go into someone's live. I really do. And especially watching replay videos, I definitely have to do that extra reminder to myself. All right, so here's a tip and trick. And it's really kind of hard to show on the camera. Hey, Izzy, welcome in. She says she can't stay but wanted to leave her like. Thank you. That is so fantastic of you. All right, so if you have diagonal seam tape, you know you've got the red line that is your seam line. You've got a black line on either side that is your 1/4 inch. If you put your bottom piece on that red line, and then you line up where the pieces join at the top and bottom on that red line, and your other pieces come all the way to the black line, then you know that you are stitching 1/4 inch away from the edge, and that will be absolutely where you need to be. Okay, so you don't have to sit there and guess with it, but if it helps, you can always pull out a ruler and do it that way. Aw, Izzy says she is doing good. Fantastic, fantastic. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, so I'm going to do this last strip so I can just put this on there. But remember, I still have more of this to cut, so this is not a finished binding. But like I said before, earlier in the live, I have got quite a few quilts at different stages, so we're going to swap to a different quilt here in just a minute. I just wanted to get a couple of these stitched and show you what I'm looking at, okay? Got to wake up early for work. I understand that too, Izzy. Oh, early is not my friend. I know we don't always have choices, but early is not my friend. I am a late owl. Oh, hi, Katie. She says peeks in. I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is the strip that I just sewed, okay? Now, I have a little bit of an edge here, if you can see where my fingers are, but I don't have much of an edge here, which is fine. Sometimes that happens even though these strips are cut at the exact same width, and it's something we can still work with because this, remember, is bias binding. Oh, Katie's got to get up at 6 a.m. Ugh. I am not jealous one bit. All right, so the other thing is when you have bias binding, I always recommend trying, whenever possible, to press your seams open, okay? When you press your seams open, you are going to have a little bit of a hangover edge, okay? You see that edge right there? And then we have an edge right here, okay? So you will have a little bit of a hangover edge. Those are your little dog ears. If you're cutting on an AccuQuilt helps you cut those away, but I'm not worried about that. I'm just gonna snip them with pairs of scissors, okay? So I have 2 seams and they're both gonna have the same thing. Now you can just pull your seam one direction instead of pressing open. However, that is going to leave you with a little bit more bulk, and it's up to you as to whether or not that's okay with you. For this quilt, I am definitely going to press the seams open because I don't want that extra bulk in the seam allowance of the binding, okay? So I will go through and I will trim that. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to pull out while we are still sitting here, and I'm going to turn it on. All right, let's turn her on. Okay, so if you've never seen one of the Simplicity bias tape makers, that's what this thing is. That's what this gadget is. And I don't think I can zoom out at all. Or maybe I can. Let me see if I can zoom out any. That way you guys can really see this a little bit better. Oh yeah, I can zoom out. Let's see. We're going to zoom out one more. There we go. All right. So you guys may see a little bit of background that I wasn't planning for, but that's okay. I have 3 tours for Great Greenland Tannery. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. All right. So with this device, hey, Kathy, welcome in. She's going back to work tomorrow, so she can make an early night. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are just doing a binding tutorial tonight. That is what we are doing tonight. I've been putting this off, putting it off, so we're doing it. All right. So this section of the binding tool, binding creator, has a little stand for you to put your binding on, okay? I don't have it rolled up. It is all in a mess, so we're not going to be needing that necessarily to roll it onto. And it also does come with little pieces that go in here, this one little bar, and you can set it here and it will roll off of that and into your tools here, okay? The other things that this thing has, and this is, you don't have to have one of these, but I want to show it in case you're interested because it's something that I have. Okay, this is your binding tool piece, okay? This one makes 1 1/4 inch wide binding. And if you see the Sharpie on here, I wrote 2 1/2 inch strip. That's the size I cut the strips for this particular tool. I have another one for 2 1/4, and then I have lots for smaller bindings, okay? I don't need a smaller binding, so I'm not going to do that. This is my on-off. This is my temperature selection. So I have this set to max, which is cotton and a little bit higher than cotton. So that's set already. This is my ready light. So when this green is on, then that means the iron is hot. This is run, which is going to enable the device to start pulling my binding through. And then reset iron allows me, if I adjust the iron temperature, it will let me reset it. Okay. Oh, thank you, Katie. She says y'all hit that thumbs up like button. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we're just waiting for this to turn on to be hot enough. But this is some bias binding that I cut earlier. And this is for my, Cotton Cuts Tree of Life. That's what this one is for. So I am using the fabric that came with my chestnut kit. And I'll show you what you do to load this in. Now, if you want to do this without a tool like this, you absolutely can. You do not have to have one of these. However, what I do with my binding, once I've got it made, so this is made, I haven't pressed anything except pressing my seams open and trimming my little seam allowances, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half and you're going to press the whole length of your bias binding, okay? I could do that and I could go to the iron to do that, but if you've ever considered one of these tools, this it absolutely is worth the extra time well, it seems like it's extra time, but it's not really. When I do, multiple quilts at the same time, this actually makes it so much easier. It is going to be beautiful, Shelly. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so I've got a little tail coming out here that I'm just going to grab. And if you see, it is just going in flawlessly, okay? Just absolutely flawlessly, okay? Now, if you run into problems, then your binding may be cut a little bit larger than your binding tip. And when I get to the seam allowances, you might notice it will slow down just a little bit. And that is the roller here slowing down because it's having to pull that seam allowance through the binding tool. So my seam allowances may not stay open, but at least I've given it a fighting effort start, okay? Now, if you have trouble loading one of these, if you have trouble loading this little slot in here, so my binding is cut the wrong direction for that. So what I would just need to do is I would trim my binding off a little bit or trim it the opposite direction. And when you start to feed it through, you can take a little straight pin and use the straight pin to grab and pull the fabric through, okay? So I've got it loaded into that, and I'm just gonna drop all the rest of this over. And I do have my ready light on. So my little green light here is already on. So it says that it is ready. And what you do is you slide the iron cover off. And my rollers, if you see this, it is pink. I had some really bright red binding one time, and it was very bleedy red. So it kind of ran over. Okay, so I've loaded it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit run. And I'm not pulling, but I am gonna keep a hand on it just so if I run into problems, I can keep it going. Sometimes the roller will roll it up a little bit. It just tries to eat it just like your sewing machine does, trying to eat different things. It just gets a little hungry, but I'm not actually having to pull anything. I'm just giving it a guiding hand. Chloe says she has the Binding Ease silicone mat. I have looked into that, but I already have this tool. And so for like lots of binding, this just makes ironing it really simple. Is it expensive? Not necessarily, no. One of my friends found one at a garage sale for like $15. The Quilting Compound, she says, I've never seen one of these in my life. That's okay. That's okay. I love this tool. I love it. I love it. I think the most expensive part of any tool like this is if you're buying additional attachments. So I don't use the smaller ones very often. But instead of having to stand at the iron, especially if I'm doing a really large quilt, or I have, 15 quilts to bind, which actually right now I have, oh my gosh, I think I've got like 10 total. This makes this so much easier. Oh, Jamie, that's right. Thank you. Shelly says she thinks it's expensive to buy it new. Yeah, to buy it new, it can be a little bit more pricey, like $40, maybe $50, depending on how much shipping is going to cost. And the actual binding attachments, like these pieces, to just determine your size of binding, is not that expensive. But it's not bad. I have had mine for quite a few years. But instead of me having to fight with my iron and stand at the ironing board, now my entire binding is completely done. And if I had my one for my pink done in its entirety, I could just go ahead and feed it through while I'm sitting here. I got it. This will tell you how old it is. I got mine at Hancock Fabrics. That's how old mine is. So mine is fairly old. I don't know what they would run new. But if somebody wants to look it up, you are more than welcome to. It is the Simplicity Bias Tape Maker. I do also have the binding winding tool so when I showed you, yeah, absolutely. If somebody will look it up for me, I know Chloe's here with power to do that. I don't know who else is here that's a mod. But if you're here and you're a mod, oh, Jess is here too. If you're here and you're a mod, if you want to put it in the link, you put it in the description, you can. Oh, 228 plus change at Fat Quarter Shop. They are way overcharging for this. They are way overcharging. This was not that expensive when I bought it. 180 plus. Oh my gosh. Guys, that's crazy. I'm so sorry. I had no idea it was that expensive. I really didn't. But there's a tool that these little, let me grab it. Let's see. Cynthia says she needs one of the binding makers. Yes, you do. With as many bags as you do, you really do. So this is the little tool piece that fits in this little cutout here. And your binding can wind onto it. But there's a tool that specifically allows you to wind it, and you don't have to sit there and hand wind. So it winds it kind of like it's winding up a roll of toilet paper. Rita, she's also saying 180 at Amazon. That's crazy. Katie's seeing it for 140. Etsy has it 130. Oh my gosh. I had no idea it was that expensive, guys. It was not that expensive when I bought mine. I think mine might have been 60. And that's just because Hancock was overcharging for it. But yeah, if you can find it used, there's some people that are selling them. So, but yeah, yes, Simplicity Bias Tape Maker. That is exactly what it is called. Yes. Thank you, Charlotte. Appreciate it. But yeah, so the tips are sold separately. So, tip like this. And I am not sponsored. Oh, perfect. Chloe put a link in there for you guys. So I am not sponsored by Simplicity. So I can't do anything about it. But if you want something like that, that is how it works. Oh, Jamie thought it would be more, actually. Yes. Yeah, I do too, Charlotte, when they were 45 and 50. So yeah, the Simplicity name is on here. Mine is so old, guys. Look at all the debris, the like ink debris stuff that's all over mine. It's crazy, but it works. It works. All right. There we go. Open box, $110 on eBay. Oh my gosh, Jess, crazy. I had no idea, guys, that this was so expensive. Yeah, absolutely. And check on Facebook Marketplace and check garage sales. And look at the box. If you will click the links or whatever and look at the box. If you see it, people will typically have these in the box because of the tips that they have with it and the power cord and all of that. They will typically sell these still in the box. Barely used. And a friend of mine got one for $35 at a garage sale. So I may see if she still has it, because she did not think it was for her. And so if she's still looking to get rid of it and she hasn't gotten rid of it, I may do it as a giveaway. So if you're wanting one, that is a potential idea. Okay. Yeah, talk about inflation, right, Charlotte? Oh my gosh. Like crazy inflation. Yeah, it could be well worth it in the end. Time saver. Yeah, it is for me. It absolutely is for me. I use mine every time I go to do binding. I use it every time. I don't play. I don't go to the iron. I just go ahead and grab that and set it up and do all my binding that way. Exactly, right, Charlotte? Absolutely. That would be like a huge giveaway. That'd be crazy. I'm going to have to ask. Okay. Don't let me forget to do that. All right. So let me grab that binding I just did. I'm grabbing stuff out of the way. I'd go for a giveaway for that, right? Well, if I can get it in time, it would be a super chat giveaway. Just saying. But I don't know if I can get it, so don't hate me if I can't get it. $100 on Facebook in Jennifer's area. Oh my gosh. Guys, I had no idea. I really didn't. I had no idea at all. All right, so this is my Tree of Life quilt, and I did quilt it myself on Beauty on my long arm frame. So I'm pulling this one out first because it is the only one we're going to do like this. It would be a wonderful giveaway, Shelly, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so Tree of Life in the colorway chestnut, okay? And I backed it with green, so that's what you guys are seeing. And I do not know which side is up or down. Okay, that's a down. All right. Found an up or down. Found a short side. I know someone that bought one new like last year. Yeah, right? I can't say as I'd blame you, Tammy, doing it as a super chat giveaway, right? I will let you guys know. I need to really make a note. Does somebody want to text me to remind me to ask about the bias tape maker? Or send me an email real quick. First volunteers who I'll take. All right. So this is my Tree of Life quilt, and this is the front, okay? I work from the front all the time. I do not even work from the back. I don't bother. It is just too much hassle for me to work from the back. So what I do is I take my bias binding and I give myself about a hand. Oh, perfect. Chloe's got it. All right. So she's going to send me an email. All right. Or she's going to send me a message so I can remember to ask. Okay. So I've got about this much left. Okay. I've got just over a hand going up my arm. Okay. That's what I'm going to leave alone. I'm not going to touch it. It is going to stay right where I'm at. And my thread on here is white. Okay. It does not match the quilt. It does not match the quilting. It is just as white as can be. Okay. So I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch away. I am going to back stitch where I'm starting. Okay. So you are going to leave yourself a tail when you start putting the binding on. And because this is bias binding, we can do what I did special for this particular quilt, which is the curved corners. I haven't put curved corners on any of the other quilts. A lot of them are going to have straight binding. Hi, Mona. Welcome in. Glad you're here. So I'm not going to worry about doing curved corners on any of the others. I might do it on that pink one. But a lot of the quilts are going to have straight binding because that's what I already had available to me. Now, as I'm doing this, the quilt is hanging off of my table. If you cannot handle that, like that's too much pull or too much draw, set up another table or roll up your quilt, one or the other, so that way your quilt is not pulling away from you. You do want to take your time. Oh, thank you, Katie. She's reminding everybody, hit that thumbs up, like button. I appreciate it. So you do want to make sure that you are doing an accurate 1/4 inch seam. That's what I do. Now, some people do a 3/8 of an inch. And with this 2.5 inch wide binding, I sometimes will do that, but I don't with curved corners. With curved corners, I do not do that. It is not worth it to me. It is just too much extra, too much work. Now, one thing that you can also do if you are, if this is your first time doing binding, I like to wear a quilting glove on my left hand when putting on binding. I don't blame you. That's actually not a bad idea. Mine are over in a little cubby that I can't get to right now, behind the dog bed and over completely in the corner. So I can't really reach mine, but that's a really great tip, Shelly. So what her suggestion is wearing a quilting glove on this hand out here that can help hold your quilt, and you don't have to struggle to grab onto it. So that is a fantastic suggestion. Hey Gladys, glad you're here. All right, bear with me. I'm going to mute myself so I can turn on my fan. She didn't do it. Bear with me just a second. Okay, fan is now on, so I am not sweltering. My temperature has been changing dramatically all day. I'm either hot or cold. It's never anything in between. So if we turn the air on, I am freezing, and then if we leave it off, I am burning up. So I don't know. Okay, so when you are doing curved corners, you don't have to stop and turn like you would for a regular corner. Now you can pin this in advance if you want to do that. I'm not going to, because me and pins, I just don't. But just take your time around your curve, and the more open the curve is, the easier this becomes. Okay? So you don't want to do too sharp of a curve, but if you do bias binding, then you can actually do this. I would never try this with straight binding. It does not stretch and give the way that you need it to stretch and give. And I'm going to get maybe about 4 or 5 hands length away from that corner so that I can take this back off the machine and show you guys how this looks and what this is going to look like when the binding is flipped to the back. And then I'm going to pull out a different quilt and show you what I do. I told you I have quilts at every stage. That is the whole idea. That's why I wanted this evening. I wanted a long enough evening to be able to do this. And Sundays are perfect for it, but I could not really wait until next Sunday. But with Sean not feeling great, it actually opened the door perfectly for this. All right. So I'm going to back stitch a little bit, get my needle up, and pull it off. And I can go finish this later off the light, okay? All right, so when you go around that corner, your whole goal is to keep your edge of your binding close to that corner. So in case anything is dropped in this, I'm going to show you. Okay, we have a right side of our binding here and a right side of our binding here. So this right here is that folded edge that we just created on the binding maker. Okay, if you do not have a binding maker, you're just putting this on your ironing board, folding it in half lengthwise, and then you're going to have that fold. Okay, so when I start to fold this over, I am going to start outside of the corner. I don't want to start right at the corner. I'm going to start outside of the corner. And let me grab, I use Wonder clips, these little bitty fancy clips. I use them. Okay. And what I do, I apologize for all the extra movement. It's hard to wrestle these, right? All right. So I take and I feel for where that edge of that quilt is, and I fold it over and I put my clip in place. And what I do is I make sure that this clip, the front edge of this clip, is not on my binding. Okay. So the front edge of the clip is actually touching the quilt, not touching the binding. Then I go to the back and I make sure that this binding is at least to the edge of the clear plastic. I always put the flat side towards the back, okay? I never put the flat side towards the front. You always put the flat side towards the back if you're going to do it the way that I'm doing it. Shelly says she loves her clips for binding. Right? I love them. They are so fantastic. They make binding so much easier and they remove all the stress. They remove all the stress. And you can use as many of these as you like. I do go a little bit overboard, okay? So again, I make sure that my front is on the quilt and then my back is completely covered by binding. So it's really close, but it is completely there, okay? I don't leave anything exposed, okay? I don't leave anything exposed. All right, so as I'm coming around this corner, so I have an issue. I do have a seam right here, but it's going to lay flat because it is a bias seam. That helps a lot. Yes, no bleeding fingers like with needles, right? I just had a manicure done Friday, and they clipped into my cuticle a little bit too much, and I thought I was never going to stop bleeding. That's the most I have bled ever having had a manicure. So it was crazy. So I definitely don't want to bleed while I'm sewing now that I've, bled for a manicure. The manicurist was very apologetic. Did not mean to do that. Yeah, pins, not needles. Oh, it's the same thing. They're sharp. They're sharp and pointies. They're sharp and pointies, but they're not swords. So as I'm going around this corner, I'm doing the same thing that I was doing before. Yep, ouch, yes. It didn't actually hurt all that much. It was just the look of panic on the manicurist's face was actually kind of made it worth it. Because it was their fault that they, obviously cut too close on my cuticle. And they were so apologetic. So apologetic. I haven't paid for a manicure in a while, so it's kind of nice to have somebody else do it instead of me doing it myself. And I desperately needed it. It was a little bit of therapy for me. All right. So this is all I'm going to clip. I'm not going to worry about clipping the rest of it, but if you are doing your full quilt, I recommend going ahead and doing your full, go ahead and clip the whole quilt. Now, if you do not have enough, hey, William, that's why you don't get manicures, right? I normally don't. I normally do them myself, but I was so tired. I was so tired and I just needed it done. That's why, right? Hi, Nanette. Welcome in. She completely forgot about the binding machine. She had to go dig it out. Oh my gosh. I love mine. All right. So when you're doing this, some people do glue their binding. Okay. They use school glue and they just use a little bit here and there because it is washable. Do I do that? No, I do not. Okay. You can, if you want to try it on something you don't care so much about first time. And then if you like it, then great, do it again. If you don't, then make that your last time, okay? I'm not particularly fond of glue basting my bindings because I don't want the possibility of something ever being left in the quilt that I didn't intend to be there. Everybody's saying hi to William, right? All he's got to do is say hello. It's not fair. It's not fair. He's so popular. He's a popular kid. I need to become a popular kid. All right. So this is how your binding will look from the front when you've got it clipped. And what I was going to say is if you do not have enough clips to go around the entire quilt where you are happy with how you've clipped it, then start maybe about 10, 12 inches away from a corner, go all the way through the corner and carry yourself as far as you can. And then while you're at your machine, you can pick up this clip and move it further down. Oh, perfect, Gladys. Yes. Guys, that is always active on my channel whenever Nightbot is around. You can do exclamation selfie and it will drop your channel link for you into the chat. And Chloe does like the glue basting binding. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just not super fond of it for big quilts. because it just takes so much more time to me. So once you got it to this point, then you are ready to sew. I love glue basting my quilt, so much easier, says Charlotte. Yeah, see, I'm not a huge fan. I'm really not a huge fan. I would love to be a fan, but I'm not. I can't get behind glue basting for me. I will glue baste small projects like pot holders and like, things like that, like really small things. Or if the clips won't fit, I will bind glue baste then. But beyond that, I do not glue baste unless my life just depends on it. All right. So one thing we didn't cover with that quilt is, what do you do when you are ready to end your binding? Okay. Because we don't want to just cut it off at the end. Hey, Rayanne, welcome in. It's okay, honey. You do you. Thank you, Charlotte. Hey, Linda. Welcome in. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. All right. So this is some straight binding, guys. This is straight binding. It is not biased. This is one of the ones that I was gifted. So all of the ones that I was gifted were cut at 2 1/4. And I've used these for other things as well as, binding, obviously. But I decided I needed binding because I have a lot of quilts to bind, so we're doing binding with them. It's a thing. It is a thing now. All right. So what we're going to do in order to figure out how to join our ends. Let me get that out of the way. All right, so I have this end, which is a little bit shorter than what I normally leave. And then we have this super long end that is still left to the rest of the roll, okay? You cut off as much as you feel comfortable that you need. I only need like the tiniest little piece, okay? I don't need a super big piece, but if you need a bigger piece, then cut a bigger piece, okay? If you've got the room to do it, do it. I do not need a big piece because I've been doing it this way for so long that I just don't need it, okay? So what I've got is I'm going to lay down my first piece. This is the piece that I've already joined that I started with, that I really didn't leave a lot of room with, okay? I'm going to take this little strip and I'm going to lay it on top. Now, I cut it off this way, but I've unfolded it and I'm laying it this way, okay? You want to do, actually, you know what? You guys need to be able to see this better. Let me just stop skimping. Let me just stop that. This is for you. This isn't for me. Let me remind myself of that. All right. So we're going to take just a big old chunk, okay? I can reuse this. We're not going to damage it. It will be functional later. Okay. So this is the width of my binding, okay? When I do that, when I unfold it, okay? So you're going to take that unfolded length and you're going to match it to the end of your piece that's already here. And yeah, I may have to unsew a few stitches, okay? Then you're going to take your piece that you're about to lay down, and I'm going to open this seam allowance up. I don't like that there's going to be a seam allowance here, but it is what it is. And I'm not unsewing that much to fix that, okay? So we're going to lay that flat on top of it, okay? So now my binding is flat from the beginning and flat from the other end. And I'm going to pick it up to bring it to the camera so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. You could have just taken the part of the roll. Yeah, you can, but this is easier for a lot of people to get the hang of. You just cut off the section, a little section to be able to use as a piece. You can lay the part of the roll and lay it over, but that may be challenging for somebody new to it to learn. Okay, so again, before I do anything else, I'm going to go back over. So, oh no, Jess says the power just went out. Ouch. Not cool, not cool. At least you have your phone, right? All right, so this is my binding, and this is the way they would fold, okay? So I'm going to match it to this end right here and lay it there. And I'm laying it wrong side up so that I can see it that way. I think there are storms coming through. I think there are. Mona's asking if the storm is what caused the power to go out. Oh, someone had a pole. Oh my gosh. That's not cool either. Storm or pole is not cool. All right, so we're going to lay that across the top, okay? So you can see my little section here that I cut out and stuck in the middle, okay? It's been attached to the bottom piece, so now we're going to pick it up with the top piece, okay? And here's my edge of where it is. So I'm going to cut this even with that other edge, okay? So what the goal is your top piece is going to overlap your bottom piece by the width of your binding. Yeah, something is telling you to stop, right? Absolutely. All right, so now my pieces are the right length, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take and I'm going to open this up and put it right side up. And we're going to unstitch a few stitches. We're just going to do that because I need a little bit more room to work with on camera. If I was doing this without you guys, then I wouldn't do that. I would just leave it. But I need a little bit more room when I'm on camera with you guys. This is how I've done it for years and saw someone measure it instead of laying the scrap fabric down. Yeah, and that works for a lot of people to just measure it. It is so much faster for me to just cut the piece. It's just so much faster for me for some reason. Good night, Katie. Let's see. Do you ever cut it slightly shorter up to 174 inches? I'm not sure. No. Oh, okay. So yes, I do actually. So Nanette is asking if when I cut these two pieces, when I cut them laying over each other, do I ever cut them a little bit short? Occasionally I do cut them just a hair short. However, I don't do that with flat binding ever. I do it with bias, but I don't do it with flat binding. And I'm actually going to take this seam allowance out of here so it's not messing with me, because this piece here is big enough that I won't need it. So bear with me, guys. I apologize. I wasn't expecting to have to cut a seam allowance out, but that's the name of the game. It happens. You'll probably come across it yourself. So it's just a few stitches to rip out. It's not the end of the world, even if it feels like it at 11:58 p.m. on Christmas Eve. But it is not the end of the world. So with bias binding, I will sometimes cut it just a 1/4 inch. Yeah, I don't go a 1/4 inch. I usually go 1/8 of an inch short, but I don't do it with flat. I never do it with flat binding. I only do it with bias. Sorry, I can't type tonight. I'm with you on that. I am so with you on that. All right, so I'm going to grab this again because that seam allowance is a little bit bigger, I think, than what I had cut, and I don't want the discrepancy. Oh, it's actually, nope, it's actually not. Okay, so we're good. Let's see, I fold the first section down. Yep. Oh, I don't cut anything shorter. Yeah, I don't cut anything shorter. Okay. So, well, not on flat. On bias, yes, I will. Oh, cute fabric. Oh, thank you. This was the cut and chiseled pattern in one of the samples that I did. All right. So what I'm doing, I'm not covering up the microphone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, my first piece, and I'm going to lay it right side up. And then I'm going to realign my joining piece, and I'm just going to pick it and bring it to make it right sides down. Okay. So I am joining corner to corner all the way across. Okay. Now, this is, if I pin anything, this is the one that I typically pin. You are going to be sewing from this corner where you've got your fabric right there. You're going to sew from that corner to this corner, creating a 45-degree angle, and it will give you a flat binding when you open it back up. So the reason that people are asking about whether or not I do I cut a little bit short on bias binding cut it short on binding is when you cut it just a hair short, then you allow yourself to take up any extra fabric that might be in there. I don't tend to have that problem with flat binding, and it tends to create more problems with the binding laying flat for me when I do that. However, with bias, you've got that stretch and you've got that give, and I've never had a problem when I cut the extra. Cut it a little bit short. I definitely don't go a 1/4 inch short. I do go an 1/8 of an inch, but I won't go a 1/4 inch short. All right, so I just cut my threads. That's all I cut, I promise, just thread, okay? So what should happen when you lay your quilt flat is you should have binding. It should look flat, okay? If it doesn't look at the right angle, or it's sticking up too much, or it's twisted, or anything else, do not do this. Do not cut your seam allowance. If it lays flat, then cut your seam allowance. Ask me how I know. I have one too many times accidentally cut before I should have cut, okay? So now my binding is going to lay flat, and I'm going to press this open, just finger press it. You can take it to an iron and press it if you want to. I don't bother usually. There's a few times that I will. If it's a show quilt, I will bother with it. But if it's not a show quilt, then I don't have judges looking at, every inch of my binding, so it's not a big deal. And all you do at that point is you connect your first seam all the way to the bottom seam. I've been there, done that too, says Charlotte, right? It's so easy to do too, is accidentally cut it, and then frequently when you do that, you have cut a section that you didn't need to cut. Like that you didn't have extra fabric to cut it for. All right, so I didn't press any of this binding, so it's as flat as it's going to be until I get around to clipping it. However, now my binding is joined. It's a little messy, but that's me. That's just me being me tonight. I will go back and fix it before I finish it out, okay? So that is how you do the join in the binding. This is the stressful part. Yeah, it is. It is. Now, that's actually not the most stressful part. That is not the most stressful part. And I'm going to take a drink before we go on to that. Oh, okay. So, why did I not have... I thought I had another quilt in one other section. Apparently, I don't. Okay, so, all right. So this quilt I have already taken, and guys, what I do when I am ready to put these clips in place to clip my binding out of the way or clip my binding in the back is I will take my little, I told you guys before, Talenti Gelato. This one was caramel cookie cream or caramel cookie crunch. It wasn't my favorite. However, hey Dre, welcome in. Glad you're here. These little jars are fantastic, and they have plastic lids that go on them. But as soon as you're done with the ice cream, you can rinse them out, and they're perfect for your clips. Have I ever done flange binding? I have. I did not prep anything for flange binding though. I should have, but I have done it before. Charlotte says, sadly, it's so easy to do it wrong, so I measure twice and cut once reliably now. It's the only rule I consistently follow. I don't even follow it. I should, but I don't. Joan says, yeah, been there, done that. Made it flip wrong 3 times and said, left it. Went back next day and did it right the first time, right? That is always what it needs. It needs a timeout. It just needs the timeout. All right, so there's my Talenti cap while I'm thinking about it. All right, so I'm going to move my mouse a little bit further out of the way. I really should have done, yes, Talenti gelato is really good. I can't have it now, but I used to eat it, and oh gosh. So that one was the cookie crunch. Oh, this is caramel cookie crunch as well. So apparently I bought it more than once, but I used to have only vanilla. I used to have only vanilla. All right, so this quilt, when I get ready to clip these, I literally go sit outside and enjoy the weather and sit there with a quilt in my lap. It can be 90-something degrees here, and I can still do it. Back in Alabama, I would not be outside in 90 degrees trying to clip a quilt. However, you know, I can do it here. And I really appreciate being able to do it here. So I have enough clips to clip more than one quilt. So I do have more than one quilt ready. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my thread. Shirley says that's why she folds a 45 degree and then doesn't sew it wrong anymore. I hear ya. You know what? I know what it was that I was supposed to leave, and I didn't leave it. I did not leave a corner, and I was supposed to leave a corner. I can't believe I didn't leave a corner, guys. This one is already completely ready, and so is the other one that I've got. I don't know why I didn't leave a corner. So we will do another one on just the corners. And Charlotte says she's tried flange binding a couple of times. Hellish experience for her. Flange is not that hard depending on the type of flange you do. I think flange binding needs an entire tutorial all on its own. And I do have a quilt that will be perfect for flange binding. And it will need, don't quote me, no, that's okay. I've already done it. Oh, yep, I already quoted you. Do you match your thread to the binding fabric? I do. So I actually went ahead and pre-wound a bobbin. And I'm only winding like half of a bobbin because you really don't need a full bobbin necessarily. If you expect to have to go back and fix anything, then you might need a full bobbin. I have yet to have, knock on wood, I have yet to have an issue where I have to go back and do it multiple times. Oh, I should have shown you guys this thread. Hang on. Let me pull it back out. My machine's not going to like me for that, but oh well. Isn't this gorgeous? It is it's all pastels. It is a Coats & Clark. Do not come at me. It is a Coats & Clark 100% cotton machine quilting thread. But it is pastel and it's variegated. So yeah, the flange binding makes it look special in my opinion. Yes, it does. Charlotte says if I do a tutorial on it, she'd happily watch it with bells on her heels, right? Well, State Fair, I have to have my quilt to the State Fair by August 9th. So it would be between now and August 9th that I would do a flange tutorial. So I will do my best. I am planning to do flange binding on that quilt that I'm going to do for the fair. So yeah, we will try to do a tutorial on it. It is beautiful thread, right? Gorgeous thread. Yes. Walmart. I know that is the nasty W word, but Walmart. I found it at Walmart. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, gotta have it. I was like, I'm going to have to figure out thread situations because I run through a lot of thread. So I already use some Coats & Clark. Oh yeah, absolutely, Helen. And she says, I guess you're machine finishing this quilt. Absolutely. I machine finish almost every quilt. Charlotte's grinning like a Cheshire cat. Oh, I love it. I love it, guys. So that's actually a great question, Helen. Okay, so if you are going to hand finish, you always sew to the front, flip to the back, and hand sew the back in place. I don't do the hand sewing thing. unless I absolutely need to. So if I needed to hand sew to the back, I would do it. And so I might have to for the show quilts if I don't think I can get away with machine binding it the whole way. But I'm going to grit my teeth and say a few choice words while I'm doing that. Absolutely going to do that. All right, so now I've got just a standard 1/4 inch foot on my machine right now. I am actually going to grab, let me see if I can get to it, if my dog will move. All right, good, he moved. We're going to see what feet I've got and see if I've got the foot I'm looking for. Oh, you know what? We're going to cheat. We're going to cheat. Okay. You guys haven't seen me do this one, I don't think. I don't think I've ever shown you guys this. All right. So this is my walking foot. She does that because it's relaxing for, yeah. See, some people love to hand sew. I don't. My hands hurt too much to hand sew. All right, so this is my walking foot, but it has a very special feature. The Bernina walking foot has different guide feet. You can also use a regular foot that has a guide in the center, but I don't have one of those handy, so I'm going to put my walking foot on. Using your walking foot for putting on your binding will not hurt anything. It will not hurt your machine. It will not hurt you. It will not hurt your feelings. Helen says she has a terrible way of doing it all by machine. See, that's why I do this. That's why I show you guys how I'm doing it, because there might be something that I'm doing that helps it click for you on how you could do it as well. I mean, sometimes what I do really works for a lot of people, and sometimes what I do does not, and that is okay. But if something that I'm doing helps you be able to add to your skills of machine quilting and sewing and binding and all of that, then that is the whole goal of doing this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my presser foot down directly where that guide is going, right in the crease of my binding. So it is going directly in there. However, I don't want to sew there. I'm going to move my needle one stitch or one click to the right, so it is 100% stitching in that binding. Now, you may also want to increase your stitch length because a lot of people feel like that's necessary for putting this binding on like that. But that's entirely up to you. Shelly says that's the way she does hers too. Yeah, I love doing it this way because then once it's done, your dog can get a hold of it and play with it, and I'm not worried about it coming apart. And even if I come off my stitching slightly onto the quilt, it's going to be close enough to that binding, it's not going to show. And then the binding, then on the back, is for sure going to catch that binding. Helen says she has that walking foot too, but she's bad at it. Practice. Practice is the only thing that you can really do. Practice is all you can do. All right, so, oh, good night, Chloe. Thank you for being here for so long. I appreciate it. Have a great week and great Monday if you can. Go pet some fabric before you get in bed. So as I get closer to my walking foot, I am going to get my clip out of the way right before I go into the presser foot. Leaving the clip on for as long as possible means that my binding is going to stay as flat as possible, and I'm not going to have to fight with it. And the main thing that I'm making sure I'm doing is I'm making sure that this binding edge is staying right up next to the guide. Shelly says practice and take it slow. It's not a race. It is absolutely. Helen says maybe mine is too old or I am. No, you are not too old. You are not too old. It is all about taking that time and learning how your body and your machine cooperate with you best. Because, I mean, I have a different machine, and the walking foot I don't think has a guide, so I would have to go a lot slower. Now you can also, if you've got a Bernina that's like number 10, is the guide foot. Your Bernina is at least 40. That's okay. I'm 40 something. And don't anybody ever quote me on that. I never mean to admit my age. So you don't have to use a walking foot, but if you have a guide foot, that works as well. And the whole goal is keep your binding, your front edge of your binding all the way up against that guide. Shelly says that her favorite machine is more than 40 years old. Yep. I would love to try this on Anastasia. I haven't tried binding on Anastasia yet. I would like to try that though and see how I feel about her with binding. And she does not have a guide foot. She only has one foot that she came with. So I'd have to find one if I want one. Now, one thing that you can also do that I haven't covered is when you get your binding to fold around, okay? So we're working on folding our binding around. You can actually take this to your iron and press it. Even without, like press it and put the clip back in place. But you can also press it so your binding is as exact as you want it to become. It will not hurt your quilts as long as your quilt's not made with anything meltable. If it's 100% cotton, it will not hurt your quilt one bit. If your binding is, if your batting is 80-20, just keep in mind that it can melt a little bit. Or if you're using polyester binding, it can definitely melt a little bit. So just keep that in mind as well. All right, so I'm coming up to my corner, and what I'm going to do is I am going to have to remove this clip because I can't sew all the way down to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that clip, and then I'm going to take my time getting all the way down, and I want my needle to stop in my corner and stop with needle down, and then I'm going to rotate the quilt and just very gently sew out of that corner until I am sure I'm clear of the corner far enough that it's not going to go anywhere. Let's see. Had to replace my walking foot twice. I used it so much. Oh my gosh, Helen, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. So Shelly's sewing machine that she loves is a Sewmore named Sally. All right. So since I can't show how to do that really and truly, and I can't show how to do this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this corner, okay? This corner's already been clipped, and I'm going to pull the clips out, okay? So I'm going to show you what I do to clip my corners, okay? So I'm going to go look back at the front and what I do to sew my corners. And let's see how close I can get this to the camera and get it to focus. All right, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. Okay, so this is the direction I was stitching. I was stitching from this thumb. I was stitching this way towards the corner. Okay, so what I did is I stopped 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the quilt, put my needle down, and I stitched clear off the corner. Okay, just 45-degree angle from that 1/4 inch, clear off the corner. Okay, then you see these loose threads? It's a loop, but it's not, it's not in the quilt. So what I did is I picked the entire quilt up, moved it around however I needed to, so that I could fold this binding piece here. So I could fold it up to form this little piece right here. Okay, so if you look in here, if I fold it the opposite way, it's a 45-degree angle from there to the corner. Okay, but it's folded up, and then I start all the way at the edge. I don't worry about the 1/4 inch way or whatever. I start all the way at the edge, and I start stitching down. Now this is as tight as it's going to get. Like, I don't leave any extra room up here. I don't, go off of the quilt or anything, but I just line it up and continue to stitch. Okay, so I don't cut thread, but I do pick it up and move it around. Okay, which means when I fold this to the back, when I start folding it, if you come in here and you're going to feel where the bulk is. Okay, if you see, I've got my little lip here. That little lip means it's folded up underneath here. So my bulk is here. Oh, Charlotte ran out of battery. Oh my gosh. Oh, have a good evening, Charlotte. Oh, we're going to miss you. Have a good evening, though. Thank you. All right, so the bulk is under this side, which means on the back, the bulk I'm going to put under this side. Okay. So, looking at the back, this is the side that the bulk is on the front. This is the side that the bulk needs to be on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my binding to the back, and that little tug that I did, so what I do is I pull it I set it like this, and then I tug my binding a little bit. I do that both to make sure it's secure and to make sure that the binding lays flat for me. So I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to fold it over all the way to the top. Okay, so you're going to have a 45-degree angle coming up and out of the way. Okay, now I can fold this side down, and what I will do is I will make sure that where that fold comes down, that it meets this side. Okay, I always check to make sure that they meet at that side. Okay, and I will come in with my clip, showing myself the back side, and I will clip in place right at that corner. So I'm clipping this fabric, the bulky side fabric, down, and I'm clipping a little bit of this other fabric, the non-bulky side. And then I'm going to check and make sure, and I'm going to move my clip up a little bit so it's just at the edge, so I know for sure I have plenty of coverage. And then I will come back in and add more clips and continue along my way. What I actually do when I get ready to do this is I go do all 4 corners. I find all 4 corners. If it's a corner, I find all 4 corners, and I clip my corners first. I clip them in place first, because then I don't have to worry that I don't have my corners right. So I always do that first. Okay, we're going to go back to stitching. And I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys back to the main camera so you guys can see me versus just seeing my hands. There we go. So, what do you guys think? Do you have questions that I can answer for you? Because I got like half an hour. All of this took an hour and a half. I can't believe it. Oh, I can. It happens. It happens. So what questions do you have for me? And this is one of the quilts that is going home in the auction. It is a round robin quilt, and it is one that I quilted. Actually, every quilt you guys have seen tonight is part of the auction on the 29th. Let's see. Oh, you gotta go too. Oh, gonna miss you, Helen. But thank you for being here for as long as you were. Have a great evening, Helen. If you haven't petted some fabric, go pet some fabric before you go to bed. Gotta get that fabric therapy in, right? I know I have to. There are days that I come in, and especially this past week, there have been days that I have come in and literally gone to go take my meds. Aw, good night, Joyce. Have a great evening. Thank you for being here. I've missed you. But make sure, I come in and like taking my evening meds, I leave my medicine in my studio so that when I come in and I've had a very long day, I don't have to do anything extra. I just have to reach over and pet something that's hanging out nearby, because that makes it so much easier to get my fabric therapy in. Even with going shop hopping and all of that I was doing this past week with a group, as well as my trip to drop off Beauty and leave her for her return spa treatment because she's not doing so hot. I had to come home and pet fabric. I really had to come home and pet fabric. Let's see. Oh, I do have news for you guys. All 4 shops are on board. So every shop that I was looking to have help us with kits for the mystery quilt starting in October, they are all 100% on board. There is one shop that may not offer more than one colorway, just because of the amount of fabric that they can carry in their shop is kind of small, because their shop is kind of small. And if that's the case, that's okay. I may have another shop step in and offer an additional colorway because they are a much bigger shop. However, we will have that information to you guys by middle of August. I'm about to say October, and that's not what I meant. It's gonna be middle of August. So we will have all of the colorways ready to announce, and I will try to have pictures for you guys of the colorways, and I'll have the information on which shops you contact in order to order your mystery quilt kits. All of the shop owners have seen one I'm waiting for her to get back into the country, but all of the other shop owners have already seen the quilt top, so they know what the quilt is going to look like. So they are basing their fabric picking on the finished quilts. They know where everything's going to go, and they have options. I'm so looking forward to it. So yeah. Absolutely, Cynthia. She says she had to be in and out tonight, so she'll be saving the replay for future viewing. That's awesome. How is the packing going? I've got to ask. How is the packing going? Because that's always a nightmare. Packing is always a nightmare. And I will show you guys. So, you know what? I got to bring you guys back over to the camera. Oops. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I'm going to show you guys what this binding is looking like. All right, so here is the front. This is the side that we sewed down by machine originally, and my stitching is right in the ditch. There's a couple of places where it goes a little bit onto the binding, but for the most part, it is just stitch in the ditch. And I haven't even looked, so yes, we have binding stitched to the back, and it is all 100% caught. Everywhere I have already stitched. Let me make sure. Okay, I gotta go back for the corner. That's my bad. But yes, the binding is all caught except for the corner. So yeah, this is working exactly like it always does for me, and that's why I do all of my binding this way. So I never have to worry that I am not catching something. The corners are usually the one section that is a little hit or miss, and that's where glue basting would really help me. But I'm not breaking down and doing it. I'm just not. Girlie said it best, slower than I hoped, but I'll get there. Hubby comes home Wednesday. Oh yes, put him to work. Yes, absolutely, put the husband to work. Mine is home for the moment and leaves Wednesday for 2 weeks. So yeah, we are going to. We've got a few things he's going to take care of before he leaves on Wednesday. So I will be presenting a Quilt of Valor in the beginning of August, and it is the whole scheduling thing has been a challenge to say the least. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun while he's gone. I gotta get a little bit of sewing time in, and then we're gonna have the auction. I'm so excited about the auction and the super chat raffle. I'm so excited about those. It is a lot of stuff just coming up all of a sudden. It's a lot of stuff. All right. So, oh my gosh, what else? Okay, Yuletide sampler. Kathy and Alicia and I are going to be having our meeting and discussing it. And then as soon as we are done with that, we'll all be able to announce everything and have it out on our channels. So you guys will know exactly how that's going to be structured and set up. So you'll know how and when and where and everything else that you can watch the Yuletide sampler. So if you've got the Yuletide sampler pattern, you'll be able to watch it. If you are waiting on a kit, I will have that information by the end of the month. I will have all of that information on the kit, where you can order it. I already know where you're going to be ordering it from if you want to buy a kit from one of my local shops. I already know which shop is offering the kit for it, but I will have prices and pictures of fabric and all of that too. Oh, absolutely, Andrea. I'm so glad you did. She says, howdy, everyone. She just woke up and watched her replay, but wanted to say hi. I'm so glad you did. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up, too. We've been doing that all night. We've been doing that all night. And everybody's got an early morning tomorrow. Everybody's been heading out to go to their early morning stuff. Or get some sleep so they can head out to the early morning stuff. I am so glad I do not have anything early morning tomorrow. It looks like 11 o'clock tomorrow morning is the earliest I have to be anywhere so far. So we are hoping that that is as early as it's going to get. We are really hoping for that. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about doing a premiere for the July 29th auction, the quilt auction, so that I can show the quilts, talk about them, and do all of that without having to do it live, and then I can be in the chat and talking with you guys live, because I think that that's going to be more important. I hope I don't have an early morning, right, Cynthia? I better not have that much of an early morning. I am not prepared for an early morning. Not at all prepared. Not at all, at all. So this quilt that I'm working on was a round robin that one of my friends did or participated in. And this was the finished quilt that she received back, or the finished quilt top that she received back, and she gave it to me to quilt. And I was working on learning ruler quilting on this quilt. So there's a little bit of history with it. Me neither. Yeah, right, Cynthia? Absolutely. And I've been severely dehydrated too, guys, so I'm sorry. Gotta get some liquid into me. I'll be swapping to Powerade in a little bit. Really get the electrolytes going. I feel like that's why I've been under the weather, in addition to just being stressed and pushing myself. I've been dehydrated. Should not be dehydrated. Dehydrated is not good. Dehydrated is seriously not good. And isn't it true that if you're like hungry all the time and like wanting to snack, that it's because you're actually dehydrated? Is that what it is, or am I remembering some fake science? Andrea says she always wakes up around 3:30, but since she's been sick, she's been sleeping a lot, understandably. Many times unplanned naps, fell asleep during Tiffany's live, or would have been here from the start. That's okay. That is okay. I went to Tiffany's live for a few minutes and just I could not follow tonight. It was just, I've been literally cramming like final exams is what it feels like. That I'm just facing final exams. My week this past week has been just bonkers trying to get things done and everything I've had to do this past week. And so just surviving has been challenging. Just surviving. Yes, hunger is often a sign of dehydration. Yeah, so I probably am. I'm not surprised. I forget to drink. We now have an ice machine. I went and bought us an ice machine because we've been living here this long without one. And I feel like I do better when I have access to ice. So I bought us an ice machine so that, I can ice down my drinks and maybe stay a little bit more hydrated. All right. So this quilt, aside from the little bit that I've got to go back and catch on that one corner, this quilt is done. So let me see if I can back up far enough. And do I have the top? No, I've got the bottom. Okay. I started at the bottom. Big surprise there. So there is a green border all around the outside edge. The next border is purple and pink and blue. It's mostly blue and pink. The next round is all the little squares that you're seeing here. It goes all the way around. Again, this was a round robin quilt. The next row, top and bottom, only have the one flying goose that you're seeing. And then the sides each have 3. And then that next row in is a garden print. It's got a lot of flowers and such like that on there. The next round is that yellow. Then the ribbon round, the magenta round. And then there's a little border. And then the panel in the center. The panel in the center, let's see if I can get it to show up, is very much garden themed. It's a very cute garden theme. So I'm going to do a lot of pictures because I know my cameras don't show these quilts very well. But I'm going to do a lot of pictures before the auction. We're spending a fortune on Sonic Ice, so I talked my husband into buying an ice machine last year. Paid for itself in 3 months, right? It is a beautiful quilt. It is. So when it came to me, it was just a quilt top. Nothing, no idea how it needed to be quilted. And so I was learning ruler work. So around the panel, the panel is not quilted at all. The little like tan color border, I just did kind of a stitch in the ditch. It's not exactly stitch in the ditch. I was learning. The magenta is all half square triangles. Oh, thank you, Shelby. The magenta is half square triangles, and I did stitch in the ditch. And I mostly tried to stay in the magenta. Sometimes I stitched in the white a little bit. It's a white on white. The yellow border around that, I had 2 different wave rulers that I used, and it's basically a wave around in the border. The inside wave is a little bit like more wavy than the outside wave, if that makes sense. Like it's a lot more up and down. Then this floral section here what I did is I used a clamshell, and so there's a clamshell here, and it goes all the way around. Then I came back and used my straight edge, my Stitch in the Ditch straight edge, and I added basically a railing around it. I'm wondering if you might be able to see it better on the back. Let me show it to you. My scissors and everything I'm moving around by accident. Okay. So this section right here, you see the clamshells here, and then the stitching here is just straight up and down, joining to the clamshell, and it's going out to the edge of the border. Right, Cynthia? She says she's going from Sonic being 7 minutes away to the closest one being 30 minutes away. Shelly says she still needs to try out ruler work on her long arm. I absolutely love ruler work. I do not have a ruler base for my Bernina, my beauty. But I think I could still do ruler work, but I need a ruler work foot, or I need a ruler work guide that attaches to the Bernina stitch regulator. So we're waiting to see what I can come up with. Thank you, Shelby. You're not seeing all the problems in it, though. She says, my quilting is beautiful, guys. I am so self-conscious about what I did with my quilting. But I was trying out new ideas. So the next row is a heart ruler that I had. So you have a loop up here, and it goes down, and then it comes back up and makes another loop. There's a lot of... I didn't do as good as I would have liked, so I have lots of room for improvement on that. The next row, that's the flying geese row. The row after that is the little squares, and what I did is every square has one line that cuts through it, and they are outlined. So each square is outlined fairly closely to the square. Not exactly in some situations, but closely. And I will say this. Oh, I missed my binding. I will go back and catch that. I will say this. I will never do this border treatment again. This is the only time it will ever be done. I will not be redoing it. It is incredibly dense. And it was me being silly and not thinking through what I was about to do. So it is a wave. It goes down and loops around and then comes back up and loops back up. But I don't know if you guys can tell how closely together all these rows are, but it is just crazy close. And then I couldn't recreate that in the corners very well. One and done. Absolutely. That edge treatment, I am not doing that again. So what I did in the corners is I took that same ruler and just pieced it in. So it is ruler work 100% of the way. Like, it is absolutely ruler work 100% of the way. Like, every corner is slightly different from each other. But that was how I pieced in the corners because I did not know what else to do. And this was done on my old long arm that I no longer have, and it was done on the cutie frame. So you can do borders on your cutie frame. In case you ever wondered, it does work. I do have a cutie frame for sale too, but it's expensive to ship those. So yeah, I've done quite a bit. So this is one that's for sale, or that will be part of the auction. I will go back and I will fix the binding where I did not catch it completely. I normally catch it all, but on a live, something is always going to go wrong, right? So this one is also ruler work most of the way. And this was also a gifted to me table, or gifted to me quilt top. And it's using the same backing as is what's on the Tree of Life that I was working on earlier. And so this is the front. Can I get it all in? Maybe. Okay. Yeah. So that's the front. And it was done the like grid method. Hey, Judy, welcome in. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. We've been doing binding all night. I've been doing binding tutorial. So the good thing about a pattern like this, especially because it was gridded on like that grid fabric, like it was just iron on and then flip and sew, it meant that every single square in here could be something totally different. So if you want something to play with ruler work with, doing something like that is a fantastic way to do it. Like, let's see, this, let's see if I can get it. The sashing does pop. It really does. Let's see, this one is like point to point. It's like diamond shape. Let's see, this one is that same wave ruler that I was using on that other quilt. This was before I used it on that other quilt. I have a ruler that I got off Temu. I would not recommend it, but I have it. And I can do bubbles. It is very labor intensive to do, but I can do bubbles. This was like clamshell, what I could fit in the little corner, or what I could fit in the little square. I do have a ruler. I did this one more than once on this quilt. I do have this ruler that does this swirl. So you go in, like you go around it and then you come back around it. So I have that one. What else did I do? I did a lot of different things on this quilt, guys. Like a lot of different things. I did a lot of straight lines as well. Just trying to test out what I could do. I love it, Andrea. She says, howdy, Shelby, and anyone else here. I think I already said howdy, but I cannot remember for sure. You did. You did. You're good. I did also do a little bit of free motion. So with a design like this, with a quilt like this, by the time you get through a lot of the squares, then you're basically trying to figure out what to put in these triangle pieces, like these. So a lot of those are, I've got some that are rulers, but I've got some that are just free motion. And then I did also outline the squares as I went, as I was going to another square. So there's some of that in this one as well. So this one will be for sale as well. And I do have thread color to match the binding. The binding is not at all any of the fabrics in it, but it is close as I could find that I thought complemented it well. So yeah, we has quilts, guys. We has quilts. So I've got 4 that are completely bound, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like there's 6. Yeah. So I will have a total of 10 quilts up for auction on the 29th. So if you want a quilt, that is the time to buy it. Or if you want one of my quilts, you know, that will be the time to buy it. It's kind of like a garage sale, but it's all quilts. And 15 other people haven't, you know, had their paws all over it. But I will say this. One of the other things is all of these quilts, oh, thank you, Andrea. All of these quilts will be washed before the auction. So what you are seeing on the live, on the auction, is exactly what you're going to get. It is not going to be, I'm not going to wait until after the auction to wash them. They're all going to be washed prior to the auction. So even the ones that are already washed, I think, no, those have been washed recently. I'm not going to rewash them. But all of the others, I will rewash anything that I have made. so that way you know for sure it is not going to fall apart on you. You do not have to worry about it. It is 100% ready to go. And if you're wanting to gift it to someone, it will be ready for gifting. I have the hiccups, guys. I have the hiccups. What else can happen on a Sunday? What else can happen on a Sunday? Okay, so Tuesday, since we did binding tonight, we're not doing binding on Tuesday. I will find something special for you guys. I don't know what I'm going to have Tuesday, but I will find something special. And then we are going to have Kathy from My Hobby Home, or from My Hobby Home here for Land That I Love. And it will be our last block, guys. Last block. And next week, on the 31st, we are going to be doing our borders for the quilt. So we only have 2 more lives with Land That I Love. And then we're taking a month-long break. And when Yuletide Sampler launches in September, it's going to be me, Kathy, and Alicia all together working on Yuletide Sampler. So you will not want to miss the details about that. We will have that out for you by the second week of August. I will also have out for you the information if you want to order kits for the mystery quilt. I will have that out for you by the middle of August as well. I'm looking by the 15th of August to have it out to you. So I will have the shop names and their colorways and all of that out for you. I'm so excited. I have seen some of the colorways that they're talking about. We may have a Christmas colorway. If Judy is still in Illinois, oh, I hope you're able to head home again. There's nothing like your own bed. I don't care where you're staying, who you're staying with, how much you love them. There is nothing like your own bed. Absolutely nothing like it. But I will have that information to you guys. So as of right now, I've got Tula for sure. But it looks like we're going to have a Christmas one. We may also have black and white. We may have a red, white, and blue. It looks like we're going to have a fall colorway. Like, we've got some unique colorways coming out that the shops are super excited to be able to offer to you. One of my shops was actually pulling her sheets, showing when her fabric lines are going to arrive, and some of them aren't going to arrive until November, so she's not going to be able to offer those as the initial colorway. But those will be options if she runs out. So all of the shops, it will be first come, first serve. So if they do run out of a colorway, they will be able to sub in an alternate colorway. They have to send it to me. Or they have to send me pictures so I know what the colorway is going to look like. But they will be able to offer a backup colorway should they run out of the first options. So when I get you that information by, I'm hoping by August 15th, if I can talk. I can't talk tonight for some reason. I'm looking forward to when I issue that out to you guys, that you guys can go ahead and start ordering your kits. And again, first come, first serve for the kits. You don't have to buy a kit to participate. I look forward to seeing what people put together. If they are not getting a kit, I'm so excited. And spoiler alert, the retreat in September of 2026 will probably fall during the last and final release of the mystery quilt. So those who are looking to come to the retreat in September of 2026, provided that everything lines up and the stars align and everything is good to go, the retreaters will actually get a sneak preview the day before the actual release, provided I can make all that work. So I'm looking forward to it. So that's a lot. I know it's Sunday night. It's late. I know everybody's tired. I want to thank you so much for coming to hang out with me, coming to spend some time doing binding, getting to sneak preview of the quilts going up for auction, or some of them, and for hanging out with me and putting up with me. I know I talk a lot, and sometimes I ramble, and sometimes I'm off topic, so I get it. But thank you for being here and being patient and hanging out with me. You are the whole reason that I do this. I love having you guys here because you are the reason that I keep going. Absolutely, Shelby. It would be here in Casper, Wyoming. She says it's cool if she can save her pennies. It would be so fun to come to a retreat. I am looking at a lot of options to make things even more affordable if possible. So don't poo-poo the idea of a retreat if you've never been to one or you think it might be too expensive. I am looking at ways to make it affordable for everyone who wants to be able to attend. I know it's not always in everyone's reach. I know that things come up. I know family. I know, my finances right now. I could not go to a retreat if I wanted to. However, I am going to make it as affordable as I possibly can because it's fun when you got people. It's fun when you got people. So I will be live again Tuesday night. I am not traveling Tuesday. I am going to be here. I am going to for sure be here. Thank you, Judy. She says, will you inspire me? And a great teacher. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, pet some fabric before you go to bed, Andrea says. Yes. So go pet some fabric. If you haven't already, pet some fabric. If you haven't put needle and thread to fabric today, make sure you do something with your fabric, even if it is just pulling it out, looking at something that is so beautiful that you love before you put it back up. All right, virtual retreats too, yes. Pet some fabric before you go to bed. Get that dopamine hit. Your system will thank you. You are a quilter. You are a crafter. Go pet fabric. If you're not a quilter, that's okay. You can still come hang out with us. We love you anyway. Go pet whatever it is that you craft with, or whatever medium you use to craft. Go spend at least a minute or two looking at it, contemplating it, dreaming about it. That way, when you go to sleep tonight and you wake up in the morning, you will have had at least a little bit of that warm, fuzzy feeling that you really just need. Everybody needs it. So make sure you do that before you go to bed, and I will see you guys Tuesday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, guys.